How disrespectful am I to my mentors like the Todd Duncans, the Brian Buffinis, the Andy Andrews, and Robert Kiyosaki's, and how disrespectful am I for the doors that they opened up, the relationships that they helped me build, if I don't do the same moving forward. And when I see the culture and the chemistry and the enthusiasm from your videos and what out there, I'm drawn to it because you're a fellow giver, and there's very little, at least from what I see, that it's not like you're giving to get, but you're just giving to give. Hey guys, Wally Elibiary. All right, so what is 24/7 mindset? Most times when you hear 24/7, you're thinking what? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just grinding, hustling. I learned over time, a 24-year career in mortgage and multiple other businesses that I own, is unfortunately, you'll get burnt out. I became an absent father, I became an absent husband, and I became a poor business leader because I was trying to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to build a business, maintain a business. When I learned how to work smarter, not just harder, by doing things the best way it could be done, instead of just simply doing my best, I learned how to work only 24 hours a week, 7 months a year, while I got paid from the business residually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can do the same. Welcome to the show. All right. Super excited about our guest today. So I met Luke. First, I've known him from social for a while. Somebody I've looked up to from the fact of the social media hustle. And then he's got a huge heart of helping loan officers. So Luke, welcome to the show, man.
Man, thank you. Thank you for having me. And obviously to say looked up to is obviously an honor, man. You're a legend in this space. Obviously you do a lot of cool things. And so it's fun, man. Fun to have you on my podcast and now to be on yours. So pretty excited about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of the biggest things I've really enjoyed is you've got a huge heart to help loan officers, and you see it from your social media posts, you see it from your ads, you see it from your courses. And like, when did the player become the coach?
Well, I mean, going back, I mean, I was an AE for a reverse mortgage company. I kind of I was in the mortgage industry since about 2012 till about 2017. January of 2017, I got laid off. And that's kind of what sort of kickstarted this whole, I guess you call it a hustle, whatever. I actually started a contract processing business right after that. Pretty quickly realized I didn't want to do that. Got my license to be an originator, started generating my own leads, learning Facebook, learning how to do marketing. And I honestly, I fell in love with marketing. And so over the years, I started to help loan officers run ads. And honestly, I started helping all kinds of industries. It was just kind of like, hey, let's figure out how to help businesses generate leads, because ultimately it was like pretty clear that most companies didn't know how to do that. Most organizations didn't know how to do that. So I worked with insurance, real estate, really anybody that would give me money, because the truth was I was pretty broke for the first couple of years. I had no idea what I was doing. I was figuring things out. And but I always kind of felt drawn back to the mortgage industry. So 2019 went all in. End of 2019, really like December, I decided, you know what? I really don't feel like I can serve my clients as well as I want to without going all in and picking one specific niche. And obviously my background was mortgage. I had worked with some real estate agents. Nothing wrong with real estate agents, but they were a little bit of a pain in the butt. So are loan officers, let's be honest. But it was just something that I actually was really aligned with. And so I went all in, and ever since then it's just been how can we bring as much value to this industry as possible? And then kind of hearing Alex Ramosi just talking about giving it all away. And I was like, I've always sort of been the person that never really cared. I was like, I remember one of my competitors early on, they're still big players in this space. He'd be like, man, why do you just help people all the time? Like, why do you tell people this stuff? I'm like, honestly, I don't really care, because most people aren't going to actually implement this stuff. Like, I could probably tell everybody, and most of these guys are not going to actually do any of it. And if I'm a person of value, it'll always come back to me in spades. And I'm also very big on my reputation and showing up in the right way. Even if people don't necessarily get success from what we do, they typically see me as a person that is going to be doing what's right for the most part, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's funny you say, somebody asked me about 2 weeks ago, about 2.5 weeks ago, and said, "Hey, you literally took every secret you had in your business and you put it in a book." I
Right.
said, "Well, yes, but that's like the tip of the iceberg. All the other secrets are in the academy. All the other
Sure.
secrets are in the workbook. All the other secrets are like, why are you giving it all away?" And I said, you what you have to understand, like the top producers that do 50 million or 100 million or 200 million, or like the ones of us that do a lot of production, there's a massive number of people that open doors for us.
Mhm.
Absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts. Massive number of people that open doors for us. And how disrespectful am I to my mentors like the Todd Duncans, the Brian Buffinis, the Andy Andrews, and Robert Kiyosaki's, and how disrespectful am I for the doors that they opened up, the relationships that they helped me build, if I don't do the same moving forward. And when I see the culture and the chemistry and the enthusiasm from your videos and what I'd out there, I'm drawn to it because you're a fellow giver,
Mhm.
and there is very little, at least from what I see, that it's not like you're giving to get, but you're just giving to give. So kudos to you, and that's what I mean by, yeah, it's an inspiration to I guess get closer to you as a friend.
I appreciate that, man, and it's true. It's funny. I actually had a loan officer the other day that said, like, "What do you get out of this? Why are you giving us all this information?" Because I literally put out. I started a YouTube channel. Really, I started it like October, but I put out like 3 crappy videos. I'm gonna honestly say they were crappy, and crappy from my perspective because they were half-assed. They were not to the level. And I said, if I'm going to put the time into doing this YouTube thing, I want to give it all away. I really want these videos to be so valuable that people are like, wait, what are you doing with this?
Yeah,
Because the truth is, like, I looked at everybody else that was putting out YouTube stuff, and it was all sales disguised, like value disguised, but it's really sales. It's like it's an
yeah,
hour long training that was really an hour long video sales letter on why you should work with me because I'm the greatest coach or the greatest agency or the greatest whatever. And I said, this sucks. Like, this
yeah,
sucks. There's no information out here. And maybe to one point, it's like I give it all away and maybe it doesn't come back to me, but I just don't see that happening. It's like it is what it is. If I give it all away and it doesn't come back to me, I don't care because I'm helping people and that also matters. And that's the big piece is like I know it will pay off.
yeah,
I know it is paying off, right? It's already has paid off, but it's just interesting because it's a little scary sometimes giving it all away. And you're like, oh crap! Like I literally just gave the step by step play. I just created a little, I call it a lead magnet. I didn't even have
mhm,
people opt in for this, but it's 11 frameworks. It has a bunch of call to actions. People can book calls with us, but overall, it's like literally everything. There's videos on how to launch ads. There's scripts on how to convert leads. There's objection handlers. I have a chat GPT bot on how to create mortgage ads. I'm like, dude, I'm literally putting myself out of business by putting this out there. But the truth is, I probably sent it to 250, 300 people, and I would wager maybe 10% of those people have actually gone and read it.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe.
for sure. So I guess tell us a little bit about your coaching. Like, is there a niche that you focus on? Is there a lane that you focus on? Like, tell us a little bit about your coaching.
Yeah, I mean, so we have I run a marketing agency where we do some coaching, and then we also help loan officers generate leads, right? So what we do is we help. My whole podcast, right, is about flipping the status quo on real estate agents, right? So my whole concept is, and what I loved, hearing from you was this concept of like giving referrals back, like actually being able to give deals to your referral partners.
Yeah,
And I think it's just so, unfortunately, there is this, I want to call it a misconception. I want to say that loan officers, for whatever reason, have brainwashed real estate agents into believing that it's not a two-way street and that consumers only go to real estate agents. And what I have found is that's a lie. The reason for that, I believe, and again, I agree, real estate agent is the sexier part of the transaction, but the truth of it is real estate agents are taught to work their sphere of influence when they become real estate agents. Loan officers are taught to work real estate agents.
yeah,
So why would a consumer go to a loan officer if a loan officer never markets to them ever? Whether it be via content on social media, whether it be a YouTube channel, whether it be paid ads, whether it be buying Google ads, Zillow, whatever. Like, why would anybody go to the bank or the lender if no one's putting out content to attract those people? So to me, I'm like, why would you not want to control your own business? Why would you not want to have a way to give back to the people that are giving you all this business? Because if you do have that leverage, now all of a sudden you can go and work with anybody you want to, because you're the only loan officer that's giving back.
100%. I think it's the ability to put us in the driver's seat as being a partner, not a vendor. Literally, I absolutely hate that word vendor. Like when I hear it, it just makes my skin crawl. And I've even asked to end meetings before when I'm in a meeting with a realtor and like, I'm looking for a new vendor. And I said, with all due respect, then, I'm not your guy. And well, aren't you a lender? Yeah, but you're missing my point. I am not here to serve you. I'm here to help partner with you, where I refer you portions of my business and I earn the referrals back from you, a portion of your business. And it's the mindset shift. And when you have self-respect for the value that you can bring, I think it's just absolutely massive in any kind of relationship that you're able to foster and build out there. So
yeah, 100%. There's that is honestly primarily why, because I work with real estate agents, and what I didn't like about a lot of times real estate agents, they'd think they were like the best thing since sliced bread because they'd closed 6 transactions and made 6 figures. You're like, okay, cool. Like you closed 6 transactions. If a loan officer closed 6 transactions, that's like the bottom of the barrel, right? Like you're not making men's meat that way, right? And so that's the thing is like because of the income potential as a real estate agent, and also the fact that they're brown nosed day in and day out by every single lender out there, because unfortunately lenders a lot of times don't know how to present value in a way that's not, hey, I'll do whatever you need me to do, right? Like, oh, let's do business, please send me business. Oh yeah, give me. And it's like, okay, well, like how do we flip that, right? And so the podcast that I started, Flipping the Status Quo on Real Estate Agents. Like my whole idea with Consumer Direct is not that you're going to get rich with Consumer Direct, is that you get to control the relationship, right? You get to control what happens. And it's not that you're a vendor. It's not that you're now superior to the agent. It's that you're actually bringing value. And my head is like, it doesn't have to be Consumer Direct, but it has to be something of value. How are you helping them make more money or save time on their transactions? Those are really the only 2 things that real estate agents want. They don't care. I mean, they do care about these other things, but they don't really care about rate. They don't really care about service. They do, but they don't, right? They care that you're going to close on time, but they don't really care that you close in 12 days, right? Yeah. I mean, loan officers love to brag about that. And it's like, I remember actually talking to a guy on my podcast, and he said he was all gung-ho. He's talking to this real estate agent and said, he said, oh yeah, like, so we're so great, we can close your deals in 11 days or whatever. He said something crazy like that. And the real estate agent was like, that sounds kind of stressful. I just want to know that like you're going to close my deal on time. And he never got a deal from that lady. And so he learned that it's mostly important to have a conversation, understand their situation. And funny enough, I actually saw in a real estate agent group the other day, someone was like, I've never had a lender ask me questions about my business. And I said, wow, that is damning on the industry as a whole, that lenders don't know how to have a conversation with a real estate agent. And instead of pitching, they actually ask questions about their business. Like that to me is crazy.
Yeah, I think it's crazy the fact of, John Maxwell coined the phrase, the power is in the question, not in the answer. And he, it's not his book, but he recommended a book called The Question Behind the Question. And The Question Behind the Question is just an amazing, amazing book. It's super short. It's like 180 pages. But the biggest thing you've got to understand that it teaches, and the philosophy of the book is, what are the emotions behind what they're really asking? And the question behind the question helps you go through a self-discovery process of where are the emotions behind their questions. Because if you can land on those emotions, you automatically win the answers. Versus so many loan officers, unfortunately, and just salespeople in general, candidly.
Sales,
yeah, exactly. I mean, and they just like, you got a problem, here's my solution. You got a problem, here's my solution. Versus like, well, tell me about that problem. What makes that problem a problem? Is that your number one biggest problem? Is there a bigger problem? How have you tried to solve that problem? It's just they're so quick to try to solve the problem that they don't ever take the time to be able to listen, to understand.
And to take that a little bit further is sometimes they don't even wait to understand the problem. They try to cookie cutter a solution into everybody's problem. And the truth is, a prospect that doesn't feel heard, even if you totally understand their situation, like you've had enough conversation with a real estate agent, you know what their pain points are, but they have to communicate that with you, right? I mean, and I tell my sales team this, it's like, it comes down to like a consumer or a real estate agent or whoever it is that's your prospect just wants to feel heard, right? And if they feel heard and they feel listened to and they feel like, oh man, you're the only person that's actually asked me those questions, we talk about second, third, and fourth level questions, right? So we're really in line with that. And one of the examples that we use is my director of training. He has a kid that has Down syndrome. They adopted a Down syndrome kid, right? And so one of the things he'll ask in these role plays is he'll be like, hey, so like I'm looking to, basically pretending he's the prospect. And he says, I'm looking to move into another school district. And so then he'll have the other loan officer role play, and the loan officers will be like, oh, cool. All right. So what type of house are you looking for? Right. That's like what they just go straight into that. And he's like, no, like, what's the next question? Hey, what's so significant about wanting to move into a new school district? Boom. Oh, well, I have a son. His name's George, and he has Down syndrome, and I don't feel like the school district I'm in right now has the services. Now, all of a sudden, you have a deep why that when you're doing the close at the end, you're like, man, we're going to get George into his home, into a new place, into a new school district. That's now all of a sudden you've listened to his pain point, his real pain point, his deep pain point, not just the surface level, but the deep pain point. And now you have, again, and this is not about being manipulative, but it's about using, it's about using what they say to sort of tie them into doing the thing that they said they wanted to do.
Well, I think also, I mean, I don't, how long have you been married?
Man, you put me on the spot. May 18th, 2012. So that's 12 years almost.
Oh, that's funny. We're May 7th. Yeah. So we're at 19 years. And one of the biggest things I've learned, unfortunately, it took me probably about 5 to 7 years to learn in marriage is my wife, Nikki, just wants to be heard. She just wants to be understood. Right. She doesn't want me, nor does she need me to save her day or fix the problem and I think once I realized that in marriage, our relationships has gone really great. Mm-hmm. But then more importantly, also from there, once I realized like that in business, our clients just want to be heard. They want to feel that we understand where they're coming from. And I think that's where most loan officers just kind of, or salespeople in general, just kind of drop the ball of like, they're so focused on, they've got that commission breath. And it's just like this fog of going after and just trying to focus on every deal.
Yeah. Well, and I talk about commission breath all the time. And it's because sales is a transference of energy. And there's this concept that I like to talk about is the detachment of outcome, right? Or detachment from outcome. And so many people are so tied, especially in a market like we're in today, they're so tied to this idea that they need this sale. And the truth is that the prospect can feel that energy, right? And the more desperate you are for the business, the less desperate you need to sound to them, right? Like, because if you're super desperate for the business, and I'm sure there's a lot of people desperate right now for business, the less likely they are to do business with you because they're going to feel that energy. They're not going to feel secure. And ultimately, sales is leadership. And if they don't feel like you're the leader, the person that's going to get them to the outcome that they want, they're going to go with someone else that will, right? And so part of that comes down to being assertive and being confident and understanding, part of sales is not being an educator and not being an advisor. Yes, those are things that you should be doing, but part of it is just being a leader. Hey, it makes sense to buy right now. Here's why it makes sense to buy right now. You have the good income, you got the good credit, you got the good down payment, you can afford the payments. Why would you not buy right now? Look at the history. Look at what it typically looks like there's a cost of waiting, and you look at it from that perspective. All of a sudden, it's like, oh man, it totally makes sense to buy. But most people are so scared. They're so scared to ask or to push people a little bit. And I'm not saying convince someone to do something they shouldn't be in, because that's not ethical sales. I'm talking about being ethical and saying, hey, like, you have all the things that make sense. You have all the assets and everything that you need in order for this to make sense for you. You're not moving in a year, right? You're not planning on selling in a year. So that goes out the window. It makes sense to buy right now. And again, as a loan officer, you are the expert. And so it's interesting to me that these are some of the strategies and things that we have to train people on. I mean, we help them generate leads. We help them get appointments with real estate agents. And honestly, one of our biggest things is showing them how to have these conversations with people that start with a discovery conversation. What is it they actually need and want? Most people just, they just go straight to, all right, here's my application link. We'll talk later. Fill it out. I'll be back. and that kills conversion, in my opinion.
I think it kills conversion, but also more importantly, it just positions us in a. I mean, we're truly living up to the name vendor, if that's the case, right?
Right.
And I think it's where you've got to understand that for us to be partners, we've got to be different there. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Tell me a little bit about, when you tell me a little bit about your career. Like, how'd you start? What's the clear path been like for you?
Well, so going back to reverse mortgage days, I started in about 2012 as post closing, right? So that was, kind of right out of college. I'd just gotten married. I remember actually calling my dad and being all pumped up because I was making $15 an hour, coming from a $9 an hour job. So, it was big money, right? Big money going to $15 an hour. I was pumped. So I kind of worked my way up through the ranks, ended up being an account executive for the last probably year and a half, 2 years of being there. I was one of the top producers. About 6-ish months before they shut down, they had a round of layoffs, probably June, July of 2016.
Okay.
I was not into personal development at the time. I was a high achiever, but I was never into, learning and all that. I like to learn, but I wasn't into like Tony Robbins and personal development and mindset and all that kind of stuff, right? That happened once I became an entrepreneur. But I fell into this whole the company sucks because they laid all these people off. We went from like 24 to 48 hour turn times to like 5-6 days, right?
Wow.
So it's pretty hard to win business when you're, at 5-6 days out, and our pricing was pretty far out of the market, right? What we were paying to the brokers was somewhere between 250 and 500 basis points off, right? Sorry, 0.25 and 5. And so it was pretty drastic. We were like, man, I can't take a $3,000 haircut. I like you, Luke. You're a great AE, but I just can't justify sending you business. So I start blaming everybody but myself, right? I wasn't taking the control of anything. I was drinking. I was not caring too much. And so I randomly fell across a podcast, the Entrepreneur on Fire podcast, which then got me sort of like, oh, I can be an entrepreneur. I didn't even think about that. And so that sort of started the whole trajectory of maybe I should start something. And then January of 2017, it kind of became a reality because we got laid off. I had probably about $20,000 severance plus TP or the PTO stuff, right? So I never took vacations. I was a great employee. I always worked. I never took vacations, and I always had to take it one day off so that I wouldn't lose that vacation. But other than that, I didn't really do anything. And so I had this runway. I'm like, let's go ahead and start a business. Again, I started a contract processing business. Hated that. Got my license to be a loan officer. Tried to originate some stuff. I think I only maybe took a couple applications, and then from there, I just really fell in love with marketing. And so that was kind of really the trajectory. And honestly, I lost a lot of money doing that. I remember one day I had put a $10,000 program on my wife's credit card, and I was like, literally was like crying in bed, and I had to tell her like, I'm sorry, I put, all this. And this is when I knew I had the right one. Is when she was like, it's okay, we'll figure it out. Like I was over here thinking she was going to yell at me. I'm thinking she's going to hate me. And she just is laying there and says, okay, we'll figure it out. I was like, holy crap. This is the one right there.
I would have been a smart aleck and be like, do you have another credit card I can borrow?
Well, I trust me, I had already racked up plenty of debt on her and my credit cards. We were pretty close to being tapped out. I mean, there was one point in 2019 I had about right under $100,000 in debt between my the business and my personal stuff, because I didn't know anything about business at the time. So I put everything on the personal stuff until I finally was like, oh, I can get a business credit card. Cool. Yeah. So I finally got a business credit card. And so, I had about $40,000 on the business credit card, about $50,000 on our personal credit cards, and started to work my way out of that. And, there's the struggles and the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur and not knowing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And I had no connections. I knew little people in the mortgage industry, but from a marketing perspective, I knew nobody. I knew nothing. I had never run a business before. I had never even managed anybody before. I was a team lead at Subway. That was like the most I managed people, was being a team lead at Subway. Like, that doesn't count. It's wild.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, so when did things start to like turn around for you? So like you've shared the rags. When did the riches kick in?
Man, so 2019, I thought I was rich, right? I had my best month ever. January, February of 2019. And then I was working at that time with health insurance companies. Okay. And so if you know health insurance, they have open enrollment from whatever, October through January 30th, right? So during that time, we were crushing it. We were doing great. I was, making all kinds of money. I thought I was the best marketer ever. Then open enrollment ended. And within about 6 weeks, I had a couple big players that were spending tons of money, and they pulled about $60,000 in revenue within about 6 weeks. So I went from like my highest to highs to like basically rock bottom. I was like, man, I think I went from like 80 something thousand in revenue to like, I think like 14,000 in revenue within like 6 weeks, something like that, something crazy. Wow. And of course, like every normal person, I went and spent more money and hired a mindset coach. And from there, I started learning how to actually build a business. And, I won't say that it's been always easy, but it's been, pretty cool to see the growth. And then also, had a great 2020, great 2021. Then I kind of burnt out. I'll be honest. I think we had talked about this on my podcast, but there was a point in 2020 that I was like, babe, I'm doing this for us, right? I'm doing this for us. And she was like, look, you haven't even been here for the last couple of years. Like, it's like a slap in the face, right? It was like, not that I wasn't there, but I wasn't there, right? I wasn't present. I was working. And at that time I was working out of the house. So, any point in time I could just run right back to my computer. So I actually separated. I have an office that's 2 miles away from the house. So I can't really take my work home anymore. Well, I guess I have my phone, but I don't have a laptop or anything set up at home. So I don't work while I'm there. And that was a big sort of shift in like, okay, I need to do this the right way. And the truth is I still didn't do it the right way. And, I still ended up burnt out because I was ego building. I didn't build processes. I didn't build systems and all that kind of stuff, right? All the lessons learned. And so, it's been really a rebuild for the last 12, 18 months of ego building to like, actually building a real business with systems and processes and the right people and good leadership. It's, it's a grind. And I'm sure you know that you went through a journey over the last 10 years of learning how to manage a team and not just produce yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of the biggest lies all of us entrepreneurs tell ourselves is that we'll figure it out. And I think sometimes you just don't figure it out, even though you think you can. And, there's no training for it to be an entrepreneur. There is no blueprint of being an entrepreneur. You've got to literally understand that no matter how great you think things are getting or getting better, there's a shoe that's about to drop. There is a sucker punch from behind the back somewhere. And it's just, you've got to be able to understand that rolling with the punches is an understatement. And you can't get too high. You can't get too low. You just got to understand, there's a reason why there's peaks. There's a reason why there's valleys. And I've got an 18-year-old son and two boys, 16 and 18. My 18-year-old are playing golf, the other day. And I was telling him about, when you make a birdie, you get super excited. You're high-fiving, right. But you make a bogey, and you're pissed off for like 3 holes, right? And it's like I said, let's just think about that for a second. You make a birdie, you're happy for 1 hole. You make a bogey, you're pissed off for 3 holes, and that one bogey ends up being a bogey, a double bogey, a par, a bogey, and like it compounds. And I said, how is it fair to your game if when you do well, you're happy for such a short time, but then when you do poorly, you're mad at yourself for such a short time? And the same thing in the entrepreneurial space is that you've got to understand in sales and business and entrepreneur once you get to the highs, you've got to understand like the lows are right around the corner, and you've got to expect those. And so many entrepreneurs, unfortunately, get so excited about the upside potential that they never protect themselves from the downside financial potential, which usually ends their career.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, people talk about that a lot is it's like this whole idea of like, we attach this dopamine to the outcome, right? We're so focused on this outcome. And so if we attach the dopamine to achieving something and then we achieve it, I don't remember who was talking about this concept, but it was one of these doctors that said like, there's actually this phenomenon, and you see it with athletes, you see it with business people. It's like they have like crazy success and then they crash and burn because it's like, you hit the number, you hit the thing, you accomplish the thing that you set out to do. And then you're just like, what now? Right? Like, what's next? And you just keep trying to push, thinking like, hey, if I just keep pushing, whatever it is that I'm chasing will someday show up. And the truth comes down to like, you need to detach the dopamine from the outcome and attach the dopamine to the process. Just, hey, you know what? This is what I do. I enjoy the process. I enjoy getting in every single day and getting better and improving. And that's when you have that sustainable success and sustainable growth, is not attaching your worth or your dopamine releases to having this specific outcome, but instead, hey, every single day I have fun. I enjoy what I'm doing. And that's why I'm going to continue to grow. And that was a big aha to me, and understanding why I'm doing it, what I'm doing it for. And then also just, understanding that my kids are not going to be young forever.
Yeah.
And, and I see it. My daughter just turned 8. My son just turned 6. My youngest is turning 1 tomorrow. And it's just like, holy crap. Like it's happening so much faster than I ever thought. And so many people in this space, especially entrepreneurs and, loan officers, real estate agents, we fall into this trap of like, oh, we're doing it for the family, we're doing it for them. And then all of a sudden they're gone, or we lose them, or they grow up, and there's all the regret that comes along with that. And I don't ever want to be, I'd rather regret not achieving things in business than I would regret not spending time with my family and doing the things with them that I've gotten to do over the last couple of years.
Yeah. I think it's beautiful that, in kind of closing, and I want you to have their last closing thoughts here in a minute. I think what I've really enjoyed sincerely from the bottom of my heart, Luke, is like, I think it's super cool how you kind of let me behind the curtains. You see Luke, the celebrity, and Luke, the social media guy, all the time. And I think it's pretty neat when like two dudes can get together and they set the egos aside and just be transparently raw with each other. So, I mean, thank you for just for opening up.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And I think the truth is too, man, not enough people talk about the hard times. Not enough people talk about, social media is all the highlight reels and stuff like that. And so people don't talk about it. And so people feel like, I mean, including myself, when I have hit rock bottom, it's like, I'm alone, I'm a failure, I'm the worst, whatever. Like no one else, everybody else is winning. Why the hell am I not winning? And the truth is, like, everybody fails. And my executive coach said this really eloquently, and I've known this for a long time, but the way he said it was, he said, success is not a great teacher, but failure is. Failure actually teaches you, because like success, be in the right place at the right time. I mean, think about 2020 and 21. If you started as a loan officer in 2020 and 21, you probably thought you were the greatest loan officer ever, the greatest salesperson ever. But then, you got punched in the mouth, right? And so success isn't always a great teacher. And failure tends to be the thing that really takes us to that next level. And so for people that, have been punched in the mouth for the last couple of years, I think the best thing to remember is, I mean, if you look at any of these books of anybody that's achieved anything, they've all, like, if they haven't gone bankrupt multiple times, they've gotten close to going bankrupt multiple times. And that is the trait that is pretty consistent across all top performers and people that are successful from an external perspective, is they've all failed time and time again. And the one trait is they didn't give up. They might have given up on certain things, but they didn't give up on the journey and growing and things like that. So I think that's the real truth behind being a successful entrepreneur, is just that every day you got to get up and move forward and get a little bit better, and be willing to get punched in the mouth and get back up.
So is that Luke's closing thoughts, or do you have any more words of wisdom than that?
Man, those are some good closing thoughts. But I mean, I think the other thing to talk about is, so many people look at things in such short windows. And I think the biggest thing that I want to sort of talk about is, like, on my podcast, when I interview top producing loan officers or entrepreneurs, it's pretty clear that the main thing is consistency over a long extended period of time. That is what separates the top performers from the other people, right? Is they are consistently performing. They're doing the fundamentals every single day, day in and day out. And the people that are not are looking for the shortcut. They're looking for the hack. They're looking for the secret script, the secret app, whatever, the secret referral structure. They're looking for the book that's going to tell them all the secrets. And the secret is doing the fundamentals consistently over time is what really separates the people that win long term, and also thinking about it from a long term perspective. I mean, if you've heard the concept of the infinite game, right? Like, we're not playing a finite game. Business, like winning is not the outcome that we're setting out for in business. Yeah. Because what does winning mean? What does being number one mean? I mean, number one in what?
Are you talking about Hermosi's infinite game?
It's the I don't remember what the guy's name. No, he's probably talking about the same concept, but there was a book that just came out that was talking about the infinite versus the finite game, and it was all around this concept of we're not really playing to win, because the truth is, like, what does number one mean? Is that number one in revenue? Number one in people helped? Number one, like, so we're not really playing to win. We're playing to stay in the game. Yeah, right. That's what business is about. Is we're winning. We're in the game to just play the game. Yeah. And again, going back to that whole concept of tying your dopamine to the process, like, there's no real end goal. And if you have that end goal, then you're going to get to those goals. If you're waiting to be happy till you hit your goals, if you're waiting to be happy until you hit your monetary goal, all those things, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to achieve. You're never going to be satisfied. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, dude, I've enjoyed our time together, and hopefully you'll give me the opportunity to do this again with you sometime. But if there's anything you think of that 24/7 mindset can do for you or your coaching clients or anything at all, I love to kind of explore that and see what I can do to help.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Would love to collaborate. I know you got a lot of goodies and things that you do that are not really what we do. So I would love to do that for sure. Let's collaborate, man, for sure.
All right, bud. Well, I'll set up a Zoom and we'll kind of explore that. But I appreciate your time, and enjoy the rest of your week. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
All right. See you, bud. Bye-bye. So thank you so much for listening today. It means a lot you took time out of your day. I don't take that lightly. Understand very clearly that you're very busy. With that being said, if you want to continue your journey and learn more about 24/7 Mindset, if you're on Facebook, which I'm going to guess you are, then go to 24/7 Mindset on Facebook and join the private community. I do coaching tips on there on a daily basis, but from scripts on there to systems on there, models, and the ability to be able to grow and scale a business while you have a quality of life. Hope to see you there.